Yo, 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 yo. All right. So VCT and that's pretty much it, right? Short
Yeah.
little stream. All right.
Is Courage on YouTube?
Yeah. Most of the 100 Thieves people are.
Damn, Shroud has dropped a ton. Shroud's number 84 with 11,000 subs.
Dead streamer. Dead stream. No one cares.
You know, it's funny you say that, but he's changed so much in what he plays that like the appeal is gone for
I
a
mean,
lot
you
of
could
people, I
see
feel.
as soon as he made bank, he clearly went the route of I'm just gonna play what I want.
That's really what happened.
Yeah. As soon as he got those contracts signed outside of like at this point, his Twitch money is literally just like tip money. His endorsements and everything is where he's probably making his big bucks. So, I mean, hell, half the time I see him, he's just casting watch parties for Valorant. Like, he's not even playing.
Logitech's probably paying him a pretty penny, I would assume,
Uh,
considering they've made a freaking line
the
with his
line of
name on
them,
it.
yeah, pretty sure he's doing okay.
We should reach out to Logitech also, see if they want to do a TCR line.
I don't see why not. You use their mouse and keyboard. I used to be a big Logitech junkie.
I would fucking use everything Logitech. I would
until
use everything whatever brand is willing to
until I
sponsor us.
discovered the beauty of Razer Death Adder, which is the
I
best
would
mouse in the
use
world.
fucking Mad Cats if they were willing to sponsor us.
Doesn't look, if anyone ever needs proof that money does buy loyalty, Dr.
Doc?
Disrespect uses Turtle Beach headphones.
I said I know.
Like,
I always laugh at that.
the cheapest, worst Walmart pair of headphones money can buy, and Dr. Disrespect uses them. That's how you know money can buy loyalty. They must have got with him like when he was cheap or something and signed some really long contract. Either that or he is just a good dude and is that loyal. Like, he should maybe be a good dude nomination for
Just
staying with
sticking
Turtle
with them.
Beach. For sure. Okay, you ready?
End of the day, whoever pays.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
Oh, I got
I sound okay right now. I can't move my mic any closer.
Yeah. No, yeah. Sound good. All right. Welcome to episode 320 of the Center Ring Esports Podcast presented by Alt. And this is going to be the best episode ever. We will catch up on what's happened so far in the Valorant Championship Tour, or Champions Tour, rather, Stage 2. So the main stage, or the main event, is wrapping up for that, or getting started, so we'll talk about that. Also, we have a good dude of the week to celebrate, and of course, e-news to wrap up the show. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about the show sponsor in Alt. Alt is the #1 esports apparel company. In a couple of weeks, Anuj and I are going on vacation. Not together, but separate, but both to beaches. There was the one condition, is so when we step into the ocean, we're still with each other, even though we're miles apart. And guess what? Most people, when they go on vacation, they stress out. They go, oh my God, what are we going to wear? What are we going to go out to eat? Should we dress something nice? Should we pack some shoes? Is it flip-flops? What are we going to do? We don't have to worry about that because we have a closet full of the best clothes money can buy, and that's Alt Esports. ULT esports.com is where you need to go. It doesn't matter what the occasion, a wedding, a funeral, a bar mitzvah. You wear this to it, people will show respect. A white tie event. Guess what? It still works. You can get the new black and white hoodie from our city is about to come out. That's pretty much like a tuxedo. So that's all you need. altesports.com, and you tell them the Center Ring sent you.
Hi, my name's Drone. I play Valorant for TSM, and you're listening to the Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, Kevin in chat. Welcome. What is up? This is episode 320 of the Center Ring Esports podcast, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date is April 7th, 2021. The time is 9:29 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Our website, tcr.gg, has some blog posts on there from a while back. More to come. The blog the blog is something, it's like what is something that's rare, but when it happens, you love it, Anuj? A solar eclipse?
Haley's Comet.
A 100 Thieves drop? It's like that. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's beautiful.
The 100 Thieves NFT.
It's really a work of art. So there's that. tcr.gg. Go ahead and join us on our Discord too, because we can also chit chat about esports when we're not doing the show, and we'd love to hear from you, the listener. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
What's up, dude?
I'm tired, but what else is new?
You know, I had my second vaccination shot. Things were going well for the first 24 hours. Then about midday yesterday, I got the chills. I'm running a fever. I got a migraine. I never have migraines. So it's been a rough 24 hours. Ended up leaving a little early from work today. Just was needed to sleep. Got a good nap in. Feeling better now. Things are turning. So I'm glad looks like I'm on the up and up. And now in 2 weeks, I can lick doorknobs. I can grab hands. I can do whatever I want to do here in 2 weeks.
I have not gotten any vaccinations yet. Not because of any strong belief, just out of pure laziness and...
Have you signed up?
No.
Damn, you're missing out.
Am I, though? Am I?
I mean, yeah. When you get COVID, yeah, you'll be missing out. And you're about to travel? Risky.
I just stay home and follow the rules everywhere else, and I will get it eventually when I feel like it. People are like, do you have the vaccine? And I'm like, no. Are you? Yeah. And then like instantly they're like, oh, why don't you have it yet? And they're trying to see like if I think it's like some alien computer chip that they're putting in me. It's like, no, nothing that exciting.
If you mentioned Bill Gates, I would question doing this show with you.
It's just out of laziness and low effort, which is pretty much on cue for me. So
I drove an hour and a half to get this vaccine because I didn't want to wait. You have to, after you get the second shot, you have to wait 2 weeks before you're, kind of covered and safe. And so I really wanted it before we left for Florida, which is kind of America's shithole in the most part when it comes to COVID. Outside of, Texas hasn't been great either, but I don't think many people follow the rules in Florida just based on what I've seen. So I wanted to get covered before I went there.
Yeah. No, they said when they moved to Texas, they were like, man, Texas follows it so much better than Florida. And I was like, oh, that's not good. Because I feel like Texas is pretty loose. So
not the greatest. I mean, it's not terrible in terms of at least the areas we live in.
Yeah,
right?
I think
parts of Texas that probably have a hard time doing it.
You know what it is in Texas? It's not people not wearing the mask. It's just the state itself opened very quickly. So it's just things were high capacity very early. So I think most of the people, I would say at at the heat of it when it was really bad, most people were wearing masks. But yeah, no, it's different every
Yeah,
year.
our governor's been criticized pretty heavily on
Yeah.
this.
Well, and then you have the baseball team who opened up 100% capacity. So
That seemed like a great idea, and like it didn't require.
no,
They weren't strict on masks. Let's put it that way.
no. But enough about COVID. That's not fun. What is fun is vacation. So as Anuj alluded to, not this week, but in 2 weeks, most likely no shows. Because you're leaving. When are you leaving?
I leave
Um.
Sunday night and
Okay.
come back Sunday night.
Okay. So I leave Monday. So I might do a show on Sunday with the famous Kevin Correa of Esports with a Z. Esports. Kevin in chat. Who do you work for again? Esports Minute, I think is the publication. He now works for them, formerly of ESPN. He might be joining me on the 18th when you are on vacation. On Monday the 19th, I will also be then on vacation because Anuj and I, we just do everything the same. So he said he was going on vacation. My wife was like, well, hey, let's go to the beach. And I was like, well, hey, could we just go at the same time? Because that'd be pretty convenient for the show. Because that's how much we love the listener, is we base our plans around being away at the same time. Kevin is with Esports with a Z Network. So that's who he's with. So yeah, we'll see. I just want to throw it out there just so I don't forget to mention it if I do. But we're on vacation in a couple of weeks. So there's
God, I can't wait.
There's that.
I cannot wait.
Desperately
I'm
need
so ready
it.
to leave this freaking area for a little bit.
Uh-huh. You know what? I will I don't want to say risk COVID, but I'm okay going on vacation now.
Yeah.
Like I'm not okay getting COVID, but after over a year and even longer because with babies and pregnancies and things like that, I have not done anything. And prior
Yeah,
to
because
this,
y'all were tied down with COVID and newborn.
right. So we've been extra cautious, extra cautious. So
We got the
I'm
whole
good.
family on her side going, so there's going to be like 7 of us traveling together.
Nope, see,
But
it's just us.
that-
Just
That
us
whole
four.
whole crew just got their shots, so I think everyone's feeling pretty good about getting out now finally. Because her sister-in-law are like real hardcore about it, so it's good that everybody is able to go.
I after a year, I don't have the energy. I just after it's like I want to be hardcore about it, but after a year of it, I'm like, you know what? I'm okay.
Tim, I just want land back. So if I have to get 10 shots at this point,
Man,
I'm willing to do it for
ain't
land.
that the truth? I will sign any agreement to not speak up if all of a sudden like I grow antennas. Like I don't care. Just
Yeah.
give me esports lands back. That's
Like I'll tell you, I feel great after all my shots. If you gave me one Valorant LAN at this point, international LAN,
yeah.
I'd be a happy man.
Yeah, I need something. I need to go to events again. Never ever will I complain about being in an event center for 8+ hours a day and then the team's leaving afterwards so we don't get any interviews.
I'll probably still complain, just not in the first 1 or 2.
Well,
First 1 or 2, I can accept the BS we put up with before,
and
but
then we're right back at it.
right back at it.
That's how it
So
works.
this is not a reason for you guys to not treat us well when we come to these events, just so you know.
No, if anything, you need to up your game more because we know you've saved your budget. You've been saving your LAN budget now for a while, so just ask ESL. ESL puts on the best LAN events, at least for medias, and I mean from games in general. But ESL knows how to treat the media well. All right. So speaking of LANs, one group of people. Oh, actually, let's get to good dude of the week first, and then we'll talk some VCT. Good dude of the week. We have one. It's not every week we do this, but when someone in esports represents a good deed that's worth shouting out, we here at the Center Ring will always do so. So this good dude of the week comes from Valorant 100 Thieves Hiko. Hiko, everyone loves him. even if he can be salty and a bit bitter at times. But Hiko is looking at raising money for the Valorant Latin American champions, which are now referred to as the XLDM esports roster. Now, this kind of went under the radar. We kind of talked about this in pre-show meeting, Anuj, that I feel like the whole reason they're an X team is because LDM, the Latin American esports org, was like top to bottom corrupt. Like scams, lies, you name it, it was involved. So obviously they went MIA folded, and now the team, which, by the way, former champion of the Latin American North Stage 1 Masters, now they're currently competing in 2 with no org. So you are defending champions with no org because just the other day you found out that yours is like Al Capone level corrupt and disbanded. And so I feel like this happens, I don't want to say more than what we think, but the fact that like I'm just hearing about this when Hiko brings it up is pretty incredible, but also a good dude for him for stepping up saying, hey, we got to raise some money for these guys while they're orgless.
No, yeah, I mean, blessing for them that this stuff is not on land right now, because it becomes so much more or so much more expensive when you have to think of travel costs and all that. So at least they'll probably be able to compete with the situation that they're in right now. But yeah, if this was happening, and I'm surprised it's not a bigger deal because it's not like Latin America is not a big market. But if this was happening, imagine the top NA team this happened to, or the top EU team, or even the top like CIS or something like that. Like this would be, I feel like, talked about everywhere, right? That this was happening. Can you imagine like G2 all of a sudden just folded and their roster sitting out to dry, or Sentinel, same thing, like it would be absolutely insane. And so it is great that Hiko is taking the initiative to bring light to it. It's kind of how we caught on to it also. So that's awesome on his part, and glad somebody's just finding a way to help, right? Even if it's not everything that they need, like, Hiko's got a big enough name and a big enough brand to be able to help them out.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice to see where it's just in a gaming community where so many things are pretty negative, I think, in light, that you can kind of see where a lot of pros probably knew about this and aren't doing something about it. So good on Hiko for stepping up and like you said, using his platform to try to help out some lesser fortunate players who, that are legit. Defending champions for the Latin American side of Valorant is no joke. So hopefully something turns out from them. I'm sure if you're interested, you could probably stop off at Hiko's stream here in the next couple of days. I'm sure he'll have more information or something to come there, but obviously we will also keep you updated. But being updated is what we do. And we do have the North American Stage 2 Challenger. I think they're calling it the main event coming up this weekend. Actually, starting tomorrow is when these first matches are going. So maybe we'll stream some as well. Because, again, friendly reminder, we do have permission from Riot to stream these games and do watching parties. So maybe we can start streaming. Team Envy looks like it's a late game. Exit and Built by Gamers is a late game. So maybe we'll stream some tomorrow. But let's talk about how we got here real quick, Anuj, because we do already have some big name teams out and have to wait to the second qualifier.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy to see some of the names that were left out, especially after all the hype that we had behind Sentinels just 2 weeks ago. We're like, oh my god, like this is everything to be able to replace Sinatra with tens. These guys are not going to miss a step. And this is the first time that we've seen like a big failure by them. Like we really haven't seen them at least not qualify for the playoff stage in almost every event since Valorant's been here, at least as far as I can remember, right? So for them to kind of slip up here, feels big to me. I don't know what other major notable ones, because I know we're going to talk about some obvious ones, right? We're going to say TSM, but how surprising is that ultimately, right? And we'll talk about these more individually, but like just kind of get my point across. FaZe Clan, is it shocking that they were tripped up somewhere? Like, not so much. They came off of a really good high, got smoked by Sentinel, so it's not like they walked out of there probably feeling real good. And after that, I would assume. But again, not shocking to me that they faltered somewhere. And the other one being Gen G, but they lost to a good Cloud9 team. So I think the matchup there kind of got them. But for me, Sentinels is that one team where it's like, oh, did not see that. Like, I didn't see any possibility of that happening.
Well, and it's like we've said before with these VCT tournaments that people need to keep in perspective is a lot like was round 16, right? So you've already gone through round of 128, 64, 32. This was the open qualifier stage. So it's only bound to happen that you're going to eventually get teams. I mean, there's always upsets. Look at March Madness, right? That just wrapped up for college basketball. Every year there are upsets that happen, right? Ohio State was eliminated first round this year. They were a number 1 seed. Okay. And now always, COVID, whatever people want to say. But my point still stands is there's always upsets. So the fact that some of these guys can make it to the round 16 and lose, is it a funny headline? Yes. But I think when you break down and look at it from a high overview, it's like, okay, they did make it pretty far into the event still. I mean, only 8 teams make it through to the main event, which you could almost just consider the playoffs. But you're absolutely right. Like with teams like Sentinels, that was one where they just were dominating in the last VCT in stage 1. And then Tens joins in, and it's almost like he remembered he was a content creator and decided to suck again because and it wasn't even just him. Now, I will say this though. Okay? The excuses as soon as the match was over, the excuses started flowing. Tens was saying like, "Oh, just got into I guess he flew into LA that day and like a couple hours later had to play their match." So he was blaming the travel and being tired for the match.
But it's not like they were traveling overseas.
Well, and it's like, bro, you are supposed to be the number 1 player on the number 1 team, and you guys lost back-to-back maps. They lost 2-0, 13-5 on both maps. Like, I understand.
Like, got spanked. That's getting spanked, right? You and I talked about a couple weeks ago, what do you consider a close game in Valorant? And we're like, like 13-9, I guess, would be like
13
maybe the bar to think. Like 13-5, that's a total ass whooping is what that is.
Yeah, it's like you can blame travel for like one guy, but even then it's like, well, what's Zom's excuse, right? He went 14-31 during the match, -17. I think it's just every team is allowed a bad day. I don't think this is the start of anything when it comes to Sentinels. I feel like this is almost like when Astralis loses and everyone likes to kick the tires about, Astralis is falling apart. This is when it all begins. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think this, if anything, this is less to do with the travel and more to do with the champion hangover. Like, they just got done dominating stage 1. So if anything, this was more or less them just not really being in the mindset of, we have to go through open qualifiers and all that again. Like, did we not just win?
Well, it feels like we just went through this, right? So that's kind of the one thing that, like, I don't want to say it takes away from these events, but to me, it doesn't make them as big as they're supposed to be, in the sense of, I know that these stages lead up to something bigger, and that's something that I'm waiting for. One thing I've taken away from Valorant over this past year is that, I mean, the game being in its infancy, we really don't know who the best are everywhere, right? Like, new teams are popping up all the time, and they're competing at such a high level. And I mean, think of who 100 Thieves played in the round of 16. They played rice and meatballs. Now, granted, there's Def is on that team, and it's like, there's some players that are kind of mix hodgepodge together. But there are plenty of teams that are showing themselves to be like built by gamers. I know they're a decent sized org, but name another game that they're really reputable in that we follow. Like, not many. I know they have some other teams, I believe, but like it's not like we're following any of that. XSET has shown itself to be like a contender. They've continuously been advancing and pushing through, but a team like Noble kind of coming again out of nowhere in that sense. But there's a lot of just hidden talent that's slowly revealing itself, and that's something that'll happen in the first few years of this game. I think is people will just pop up and be like, damn, that guy's actually like really good. Now he doesn't have a big following, he doesn't have great socials, numbers on socials, and so he's not looked at. And these types of events happening in this game early on is so crucial to exploring those players out there. It's allowing for them to shine on the big stage. Like think about a game like Counter-Strike, Tim. How do you get exposure unless you're literally number one on FPL, as a pug star? You're probably not. If you're not in MDL or you're not competing in one of the pro leagues, you're not going to get noticed anymore. Like it's so hard. I shouldn't say it's not going to happen, but you really got to be like an elite level talent to get noticed. I think in Valorant, there's a ton of opportunity for that, and that's why these upsets seem more prevalent than in other games. But I think that's just because of where the game's at in its life cycle. Like a lot of unknown players are just all of a sudden this team we've never heard of is just dominating. It's like, how? And it's not that surprising that it's happening, I guess I should say.
Well, I think one surprising note then that we have seen from this is kind of the, I don't want to say collapse of NRG, but maybe not fulfilled promise. Because I know, like, when they broke into the scene, it was, for me, I remember, it was a little bit of a surprise in the sense of, like, when they came on and everything like that, because I think they were just making a statement of how we're still wanting to test the waters, and then all of a sudden they came in and performed well. But now we're already starting to see guys like, Chet, I'm a pet, however you want to refer to him. Their coach just left. He was star coaching quality in Counter-Strike. When he moved over, that was actually a huge, huge signing for them, right? He was kind of known as like the NA guru. He kind of took NA teams and took them to the next level. So when they signed him, it was huge. Now he's taking a step back going, you know what? I'm actually going to consider going to Counter-Strike again, going back. He's kind of looking at his options on both sides, which
please go back to Counter-Strike. You can't, like, he was so good, and the fact that he didn't find a team and now NRG is losing him, like, I do hope that he, like, if I'm Cloud9 and I want to hit the reset button, or I'm Envy and I'm looking for somebody to kind of lead me in the right direction, he's somebody I would look to.
I think there's a notion going on with this Valorant versus Counter-Strike crowd, which we're not. I think we've kind of killed that on this show anyways. I think you and I have moved past comparing them constantly, but others have not. And I know, like, there's even, I want to say, was it Daps who was speaking up about this on a stream during a watch party, saying how, he's bitching about certain abilities in Valorant, and how it's like, oh, they shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. And the drone for Sova is overpowered because it gives information, but there's no like real punish for using it. And it's like, at the end of the day, when you peel all the layers and kind of take a look at what he's saying, is he's trying to be like, well, the devs need to just change this to be more like Counter-Strike. And I think people need to just put it to bed that it's not Counter-Strike. Yeah, it's, 5v5 and planting the bomb and things like that, but the maps are going to play a little different. Why? Because you have people that can jump and fly around, and a drone and flashes that shoot over, and fireballs, and, smokes, and people can teleport. Like, it's not Counter-Strike. The maps have to be designed differently. You have to play the game differently, and especially when we see more and more agents being added to the game, you're only going to see that more and more. Like, Riot's not dumb. They strategically put in more what I would call basic agents to launch the game with.
Yeah.
Like, I look
Except for like Raze was kind of the only constant, maybe Sova to a certain extent too, but like for the most part, you're right. They were pretty like smokes, mollies, or like a couple basic
but
flashes,
even
right?
like Raze, her abilities were like, okay, a grenade and a rocket launcher.
The
Okay.
rocket launcher was the big deal though, right?
Right,
Like
but
you
it
could,
was like what I mean though, it's like it's not like dropping like a Nova ball from space or so,
yeah.
it's like they're very I don't want to say realistic agents, but along the lines of like, oh, okay, this is a shooter. This girl has a grenade launcher or whatever. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
Now they're like obviously going way more fantasy with it.
League of Legends like with their
Yeah.
fantasy on characters,
Right.
yeah.
And so the more and more agents you see is like this. So I think there's a lot of pros and a lot of, coaches and fans that when they decided to make this hard switch from Counter-Strike to Valorant and they're trying to compare, it's like they just need to take a step back and appreciate Valorant for what it is and appreciate Counter-Strike for what it is. They're two different games. Similar on the surface, but way different when it comes to play style and how the pro should approach it. I think some of these Counter-Strike players that moved over aren't adjusting as well as they'd hope.
Well, they're not used to rapid change, right? If you're coming from Counter-Strike, you've played the same game for 20 years
No.
essentially with
Yeah.
a couple of tweaks, right? The R8 being introduced, and then how quickly was that nerfed after that? Maybe a map change once every
They're
year.
used to they're used to one patch a year.
Yeah, and even that might not be big, right? It might not do anything in terms of the competitive scene. So really in Counter-Strike, it's like, this is your game, this is what it is. And that's the beauty of it, right? That's not a knock on Counter-Strike. I would like to see more frequent updates or map changes. We've talked about that 100 times, so I won't go there. But that's just Counter-Strike. They need to approach this more like a League of Legends mindset, right? Of the teams that will stay good in Valorant are the teams that are going to be willing to adapt to the meta the most, right? And when I say adapt to the meta, that's almost looking at creating a constant new meta as the game evolves. If you're trying to stick to like what worked week one, day one, yeah, you might be good for a period of time, but you're going to fall off, right? And so the players that come in here with an open mind of, okay, there is a new agent. I'm not going to say this agent sucks before we've played like 2 or 3 games with her. Like the amount of hate that comes out when new agents come out or a new map comes out. Look, they're not perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. But this is the game you're playing. This is what it's going to be. And I'm enjoying that aspect of it, right? Like seeing a bunch of like we haven't talked about this in a while, but we mentioned it. I can't wait till there's a day when there's like 50 agents in this game. Like that's what I'm excited for in the future for this game, is having a League of Legends style roster with unlimited potential and several different comps that work really well. The one thing with Counter-Strike you run into, you kind of know what to expect. If you watch Counter-Strike and you watch certain maps, Vertigo, Inferno, you know the typical hits, right? There's very little deviation. There's no room for deviation. It's just who executes better and who hits their shots when they count most. With Valorant, that's not going to be the case like it is right now. Right now, it is a lot about hitting your shots and basic executes working. But as this roster expands, it's going to be crazy to see who's willing to adapt with just several different play styles based on who you're playing. And it's not heavy set that this is the one agent I play, this is the one agent I master. Like it's going to be fun, and I'm hoping they adapt the way that we are looking at the game, honestly.
Well, and I mean, for a lot of these players too, and you can say maybe the Counter-Strike side of it, just wait until they add hero bans. Wait until that day happens and you think you have a main, you think you have a meta, and then you have to adjust the mindset, adjust the plans. I mean, within 30 seconds of the match starting because a hero was banned.
How many characters do they have to have in the game for hero bans to be a thing, you think?
How many are in it now?
I couldn't tell you. 15?
11. Oh no, there are 11 at launch. Yeah, so probably like what, 15, 16 right now?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Shoot, I don't know. 20, 25? Maybe, and then you could do like and like one band possibly. I guess it just depends on like, do you have enough sentinels to pick from? Do you have enough whatever to, breachers to pick from?
Maybe you can't ban from the same category or something like
Yeah,
that.
obviously I don't necessarily know the magic number there, but what my point still stands is a lot of these rumors going around where players are disgruntled about some of the abilities or some things seem overpowered and things like that. I don't think that. Now, and also on the flip side, the non-Counter-Strike players who to this day still cry about the op being overpowered.
Every time that's what I see on Twitter.
Like it is really not. Like it is the op. Like that's what the gun does.
It's expensive. It can break your economy if it's not used well. It's a gun that's used and teams have to play around the positioning of that. Like it's not like it's a given that it's going to be dominant.
In the right hands, it can be overpowered. Sure. But that's the beauty of the gun. It's the same thing with a D-Eagle in Counter-Strike.
It's just doing what it's meant to do.
Right.
Like that's what it's supposed to do.
And I think it was Tens. Maybe Tens said it best. It was either him or Brax. But they were saying that, they don't think it's overpowered. They think it's just people in Valorant are overconfident about it. Where like in Counter-Strike, you have it and like you respect it. Where in Valorant, everyone thinks that they can outgun it. Like everyone thinks, don't worry, I have an ability, or I'm going to jiggle peek this, or, I'm going to do something to one tap them. And it's just that mindset hasn't really set in yet with Valorant where it's like, oh, this guy is going to blast me if I peek this. I need to be patient and, kind of play the mind games with them a little bit. I think it was Tens who said that. And I absolutely agree that, it's just people aren't used to it, I guess, unless you come from a game like Counter-Strike, because most games don't have that op-like weapon. But
looking at the playoffs, I have my mindset on who needs to be in this finals for this not to be a failure for them based on where we're at today, right? Like now we know who's in the playoffs, right? So I maybe wouldn't have said this in the round of 64 because I know a lot of shit can happen, but you're down to the final 8. There's been some upsets, some people in this grouping of 8 that you don't ever want to say don't belong, but they're probably a little bit more fortunate to be in the position that they're in because they haven't been in it before.
Go say they weren't expected.
Yeah, like version 1 built by gamers. Immortals always finds a way, but I'm always sitting there saying like how, like this the amount of changes that they've made. Andbox has made some changes and really hasn't like played at the level that we think that we thought maybe they would have been early on. But for me, this is like Envy 100 Thieves written all over it to meet in the finals.
Yeah.
I'd be really disappointed for both of them if they did not meet in the finals. Now, who wins it? That's, whatever. Only one team's coming out on top. But I think anything below those two teams, because first of all, it's set up for them to meet in the finals. They're on opposite sides of the bracket. If either of these teams don't make it, in my mind, huge disappointment. Like I think Envy, for them, they always feel like an underdog, even though they're a dominant team. And I think they have to win to continue to let people know they are one of the best. And they fell short, stage 1. And this one, they've looked really good. I mean, I think Mummy even had a 16-0 game against Ghost or something like that. It literally did not die in the game, and they won 13-1. But for both of these teams,
Mummy had a perfect game against Ghost.
That's insane.
16-0. It was insane. And really, if you want to go back and just watch that, people talk about how TSM didn't make it through. If you watch the TSM and Immortals, it makes sense. TSM played slow. They played scared. It was like Immortals was in their head. And now keep in mind, this was also with Brax. But like TSM lost on Haven 13-1, Bayern 13-6. those are ugly score lines. And if you watch the games, it's like those aren't like flukes. Like there were rounds and everything that TSM could have won, but it's just again, it's like they gave too much respect to Immortals. Where Envy, for a little bit there was looking like they were going that same route, but on Haven, the map that Mame went 16-0, they won 13-1 on that map. Unbelievable. Ghost couldn't do anything. Nothing. It didn't matter. Envy honestly looked like if Envy can just play like that going forward all the time, if they could just put up a 13-1 performance.
Mummy could just go literally no debts every single
right.
time he played.
If Mame could just never die ever again, I think they're going to do fine.
Plus 16 with 16 kills. That's something you don't see often.
No.
On a plus minus. So, yeah, I mean, an incredible performance by them to get through. I mean, they still dropped a map at the end of the day, but again, they didn't get blown out. There were just closer games that they were in. In this playoff run here, like I said, I just think this is so well set up for these guys to meet in the finals that, I don't even know who else I would pick. If you're like a Nuge, give me a third team that you think would make it through.
I mean, Immortals, I think, would be my...
I think that Immortals Cloud9 game is going to be a big game. Like, that'll be, I think, a close matchup. Because I think Cloud9 lost a lot of that. Like, obviously, when TenZ left, people just kind of forgot about that roster. And we forget, I mean, they did pick up Leaf, former CSGO pro, who was kind of peaking at that time in CounterStrike and sitting on a high there. I think he had to get integrated into the team a little bit and understand the game at a higher level. Hopefully this is an opportunity for them to step up and show that they're the real deal. Like, it wasn't just TenZ and friends. Now we have a team built around a good five, and I do think they're a good five. I think they have a chance to do well, but maybe they would be my like dark horse pick as another team that could possibly make it through.
You want to know something that's going to blow your mind?
Mm-hmm.
TenZ left Cloud9 January 12th. Does it feel like 3 months?
No, really. Like I would have told, if you had asked me, I would have told you it happened like a month and a half ago.
Right. Like, he has not been on Cloud9 for almost 3 months. That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's insane. He was able to retire and then unretire in those 3 months. Unofficially, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe TenZ is throwing on Sentinels because he really doesn't want to play again. And so
he's like, oh crap, I did too good.
Right, he was like, oh no, they're gonna ask me and offer me a lot of money that I can't say no to, so I need to start.
Let me change my flight to land like right before game time.
Right. Yeah, when the captain asks for if anyone wants to take a delay for a $100 drink voucher, TenZ was just like, I'll do it for 50. Please, just let me do it. So we'll see. And like I said, though, matches start tomorrow on the 8th. So by the time you are listening, maybe the matches are going. Maybe we will be live and do a little watch party in the meantime. What I might do is I might watch it. You might get a double watch party. I'm going to watch the game while simultaneously cleaning my office.
No,
so
that'd be a fun stream.
That's what happens when you don't have enough time in life and you have 2 kids that you have to make sure aren't killing themselves throughout the entire day.
These games are like kind of crappy timings.
No, they are. They're like the late game is at 7:30, which is like smack dab during bath time and getting ready for bed. So
it says 4:30 for me. Oh, you're talking about loser bracket?
Let me pull it up.
Like the main games are at 2:00 Central and then 4:30 Central, and then losers bracket is at 7.
Yeah. I look at the late games because that's like 7 o'clock our time. So
damn, all the games are at terrible times.
They're not good watch party times for people with kids.
Just people that have a job in general.
Yeah, 2:00. This is why we need to have a Gamer Dad Esports Association.
Like, we should have a union. They shouldn't be able to start games before like 7:30.
There's a reason professional sports play at like 7:30.
What happened to old school esports where crap started at 10 p.m. and goes until 3 in the morning? Like, I need that routine back a little bit more.
Yeah, I know. Those were the times when NA started at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like their marquee, like Cloud9 versus Liquid in CounterStrike. ESL's putting them up at 1 o'clock. You're like, what? I guess I'll stay awake. Why not? Why not? But yeah, so we'll, just keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on Discord. Like I said, for those late games, I might get on towards the end of it. Who knows? It just depends. Look, it's not up to me. Listeners of the show know this. It's not up to us. It's up to the wives and it's up to the kids. And that's not that's not for sympathy. That's just reality. That's the life of a gamer, Dad. You're at the mercy of them. Unless you go to Patreon and support the show, because then we can use the excuse of, well, we're making money doing it. And then if you make money, it's easier to tell the wife. You point out the nice purse she has and say, you like that? You like this roof? You like the food in the fridge? Well, then I guess you should let me go and do my job and watch video games with people. So someone's got to do it. And it's the cross will bear. But there you go. There's a nice Patreon plug that you can go in and support the show. Also, for our current Patreons, I will have to, if you watch on YouTube or the stream, I will update the stream. I will update Discord to show your support. I will do that tonight after the recording. I promise. I will catch up on that. So there you go. Anything else on VCT from you, Anuj?
No, just looking forward to a good event. Hopefully, kind of lives up to the hype, even with some of the teams that we mentioned not being there. But nonetheless, excited for it. Like I said, I'm hoping for the matchup that I want. That's what's going to make me happy here. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, and moving on to E-News, which is brought to you by Philly Esports. Hosts monthly events that you and your friends can join online. Soon to be back in person, but I think they'll always keep the online going with the success that they have seen. This month, April 17th, is the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War 3 versus 3 Search and Destroy, sponsored by U.S. Army and Monster. It's got a nice $500 prize pool, cold hard cash. You and 2 of your friends maybe start your esports career over it, but Philly Esports, they're good dudes. We've met them in person. They've taken care of us. Very early on listeners of the show as well have always supported it. So go ahead and show your support for them. Follow them on Twitter. If you're in the Philadelphia area and, when LANs start back up again, if you've ever wanted to look into getting into esports, they hire some positions are paid positions. They also do volunteers. So there's always a chance to get your foot in the door, and you can always do that with Philly Esports. Check them out, phillyesports.net. Starting off E-News here with CSGO. Anuj, have you seen the downward spiral that Evil Geniuses is a part of?
Yeah, it's kind of sad right now.
Like, I felt like I kind of looked away for half a second, and then I looked back, and it's like, oh shit. Like, you guys are not good anymore.
I mean, the sad part is we were just talking about them like in a positive light the other day, where it was like, oh yeah, they look like they could be doing okay. I mean, this was a tough loss. Now, granted, Windstrike,
they're not terrible, but
they're not, and they're also playing for something a little extra called an org right now, right? They're a team that had an org that basically got put in a tough situation, whatever that may have been. Either way, it was bad enough for them to walk away from it. So, like, yes, this loss does hurt. It shouldn't have happened. I understand that.
They lost 2-0 to Windstrike in the Snow Sweet Snow semifinals. EG, which was supposed to be NA's savior, along with Liquid, number 2. Did they ever hit number 1 at one point? I don't know if they did. Either way, they were up there, now ranked 12th in the world. So I knew Ethan was good. I didn't know he was the catalyst to that roster's collapse, though.
I think they'll be okay, honestly, with OBO. I think it might not be incredibly quick, but I do really think they'll be okay.
I also think it's somewhat mental, because Ethan left, and the way he left, which was from our point of view sudden, right? Maybe not on their end. Maybe they talked to him and they knew at the time.
Unexpected. We didn't see it coming.
Right. I wonder if it's like in their head that they're annoyed that they're not doing as well. And it's like they just think about how they were doing well, and now Ethan left, and now he's with Valorant, and he looks all happy, and it's almost like you got dumped, and she told you, you know, hey, don't worry, I just want to be single right now. It's not you, I just don't want a boyfriend. But then, like, all of a sudden, you see her with another guy, and you're like, oh, okay.
What happened? What happened to that?
Right, like, was I not good enough? I feel like that's what's going through Tarek's head. And that's
Tarek's having a tough time right now.
His sneak around, he could have dominated him on overpass and just whiffed. If you haven't seen that play, look it up. It's not pretty. It looks like us, Anuj. In fact, worse than us. You and I could have hit this shot, but he whiffed on it. He did like a sneak around to overpass through heaven on B, and just whiffed on it. Really bad. Though in other news here with CSGO, Thomas, who was most recently with Envy before they disbanded, is to step in for Endpoint in Blast Premier Showdown, as OG is looking to sign Flame Z, currently on Endpoint, so we'll maybe have some roster changes there. And to put the final nail in the coffin for the Cloud9 CS Colossus saga, Henry G is officially no longer part of Cloud9, has announced on his Twitter account that he is just going to take a break now. He's going on a little vacay, so maybe we'll see him at the beach. But so far, Henry G is out. No plans to do what next. Probably go back to casting if I had to imagine. But RIP Henry G.
Can't really say we're that surprised, can we? I mean, he was the only person getting paid still on the...
No, I'm not surprised at all. I am surprised. Like, I love the fact that, like, everyone trashes him on Twitter up until the point when they absolutely fail and he gets fired pretty much. And then everyone's like, man, they let you go too soon. They just pulled the trigger too soon, Henry. You had something. You had something. It's like, what team were you watching? Because no, they didn't.
It was done.
It was done. And now, I never want to see someone lose their job. But that also doesn't mean I'm blind to the fact on why they lost their job.
Yeah, like this was bound to happen. Like there was no way he was staying on. They weren't also willing to probably give him like another chance to try it again, right? Like it's
like, bro,
hey,
we
tried. It didn't work. That happens sometimes, but
they took the team checkbook and ripped it up right in front of his face because they're like,
yeah.
no more. In Overwatch, sad news coming here from our Dallas Fuel friends. Fearless opens up in a recent interview that Fearless for the Dallas Fuel, that is, and they're in Dallas. They are living here in town. Recently opened up about how him and the team, who are Korean, have experienced Asian hate here in our very own city, Anuj. And, kind of disturbing stuff. If you go and listen to the translation, people coughing on them, yelling at the team that they don't belong here, to go home. We've talked about it on the show before, and I don't like really bringing it up because I feel like our listeners are not the one that needs to be talked to. But again, this racism, this Asian hate just needs to stop. If you see
it sucks that he's experiencing it in our backyard. That's the most disturbing part for me, is that it's like this is happening so close to home. You know it's happening in a lot of places, but you like to think like,
yeah, you hear New York,
we're better than that, and like this is just I mean, it just sucks, and unfortunately it's happening everywhere, as you can see. And so hopefully for them, they're getting the support, at least from the org, to be put in a good and positive mindset. But that's just a shitty situation.
The team's talked about like getting them security to go out with now and things like that, and
it sucks.
I mean, it's ridiculous that you have to do that, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like, you hear about things in New York, things in California, and you're like, oh my God, that's crazy that's happening. But then in your head, you're like, it's just in these secluded areas, right? It's just very in this one particular area of whatever. And then you hear Dallas, and you're like, what? Like what? Like this is where we live. And to be fair, you and I live more closer to Fort Worth than we do Dallas in the DFW Metroplex, and we live in the burbs, which I still stand by that the burbs just don't have these type of problems, but maybe I'm ignorant on that note too. But I never see it ever.
Yeah.
And I think for the majority of the people, for the majority of our listeners, have never seen something like blatant racism like this. So if you do see it, I'm not going to say for you to jump on the grenade and ask them to stop, because obviously that can get more ugly than what it's for. But man, just, I guess, support positivity. That's what I can tell you. It's really, really ridiculous and idiotic to even have this conversation in this day and age. But, obviously
it's crazy that it feels like it's getting worse as we progress as how is it getting worse? I don't understand that.
Right. It's like one person gets a whiff of it and goes, "Oh, we can do that now?" I thought we were still just didn't like black people. You're saying we can now do it to Asians as well? Like, huh. And it's even crazier when you hear it's not just like white people. Like, it's all races are doing it to Asians. It's like, damn. Like, just stop. Like, I don't even know what, it's like, it's ridiculous. I can't believe it talking about it out loud. So very sad to see, just promote positivity. That's what I'm going to say. In Valorant news, Anuj, 1 year ago today, the Valorant closed beta started.
That's like, again, I know we just talked about the launch not too long ago. Like, it was just, it's crazy that it's like right here, that it's been a year. The closed beta, I remember the whole key situation that took place and how, like, that was just so much chaos was created around getting these stupid keys to get into the beta. And I remember I got lucky and got it day 1, hour 1. I mean, it happened so fast for me. And then I got it on another account because I was trying to sign up for you guys. So I kept signing up, and I remember I got it on another account before some of y'all, and one of our listeners.
We played on your burner account just to play it.
I think one of our listeners, I think it might have been Joey, who didn't get it for like weeks of trying, and I was like, man, I guess I got real lucky because I got it, like I said, within the first hour of it all going down. But that was some craziness, and it was a lot of fun, and really haven't felt that way about another game coming out since that happened a year ago. So that was a cool moment, though, for sure. Like, that kicked off COVID just right. Like, we needed some positivity in that retrospect at that time, and Valorant kind of gave that to us.
We already discussed Chet, I'm a Pet, steps down from NRG as coach, exploring his options with CS and Valorant just to see what happens. Have to imagine he goes back to CS, but we'll see. Other rumors floating around in the Valorant world, though. Olaf Meister, former Fnatic CS pro, I believe TCR Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken. If not, definitely will be the next time we do that. Is considering making his move over to Valorant. Rumors are with Fnatic. Go figure. So I could see it. I don't necessarily know if it's going to, like, if his skills are just going to transfer over and blossom this brand new career where we see old Olafmeister, because I never felt like that was part of the issue. And like, I felt like in CS he just legit just kind of got old, lost the steam, lost that fire. I don't know if switching over to a new game is going to necessarily spark it, but I will love the move. I will love to see Olafmeister in Valorant.
Like, it would be insane. It seems so weird to me. Like, it seems weird to me that if he's willing to compete and wanting to compete, why not continue to do that in CS? You think he would get a chance to if he really wanted to? I thought he was just kind of done with it, but maybe it's just done with CS, and so it feels weird. It feels weird. It feels wrong because he's such a legend in CounterStrike, and obviously been a tough year and a half plus for him now in the game. So it feels wrong, but yes, I would also be excited to see him competing. So I mean, I guess it doesn't matter ultimately where it's at, but again, the dude is a Hall of Famer in CounterStrike, and so something about it just feels off if I were to see him competing in another game. But hey, if he's competing, that's awesome. If he wants to do it, even better. So if Olaf is back, I guess we'll take him anywhere we can get him.
That's right. And Call of Duty Mobile has reportedly put up their numbers. Anuj, we were just talking about mobile games the other show. COD Mobile reportedly made $10 billion with a B in 2020. How, you ask? I don't know. I guess skins and stuff. That's unbelievable. $10 billion.
I would love to see how that's split per country. Like, where is this money coming from? I'm a little curious, honestly. That is crazy. But again, as much as we don't care for mobile gaming, it's just a massive market.
Yeah. And
it's
people
just
wonder,
massive.
I see a lot of the COD pros and everything get upset. Like, oh, why do all the, you go watch a COD League game and half the commercials you see are for mobile. And like they're doing all these cool updates and all these new game modes for mobile. And everyone's like, what the hell? Give your normal game some love. $10 billion is why they're giving mobile some love. Unbelievable. Good for them. Good for them. Also, though, it just goes to show like half the issue on why they don't give a shit about fixing the actual Call of Duty game. But you know what?
$10 billion is $10 billion.
Yeah, I guess you make $10 billion. Don't listen to me. Slasher has been benched. Rumor sparked around that because the announcement was somewhat confusing. It almost made it seem like it was Slasher's decision or like he needed a break. He's later came out and said, no, I would never bench myself. That's not the case. And I am exploring my options.
Since when has like the term using the word bench has just like gone away? Like it's just, we're taking a momentary break, or he's just going to sit this one out and, rest. Like, just call it what it is. If you're benching somebody, you're benching somebody. If you're cutting somebody, you're cutting somebody. Like, we don't need to play around with the words.
And if you're like a coach, like, why beat around the bush? Like, you know what? Like, look, I mean, if he's upset, be like, look, I'm the coach of this team, or I'm the owner of this team, or the GM of this team. Look at our recent results. And that answers your question on why we're making some roster moves. Is he benched for good? No, but we need to figure this out. And if benching him wakes his ass up and makes him perform a little better, or, Venom turns out or Draza ends up playing well, great. It's a win-win situation. But either way, like you have to figure something out. So I agree. There's no reason to tiptoe around it. Slasher got benched. That's it.
It's like weird to see that he's not going to be competing. I mean, when was the last time he wasn't competing on the big stage? It's kind of a weird situation. So we've seen a lot of big names kind of pushed out of the scene. I don't want to say pushed out of the scene, but benched, retired, moved into other roles just in the past year alone, with Enable, JCap, Zuma, Slasher being benched. Like, there's a lot of big names that have been staples in COD for years not playing. Karma.
The common denominator though through all that is winning. They need to win, and those names haven't been winning. So not to any fault of their own, and but it's just their teams haven't been performing well. So typically the person who's going to get, I don't want to say the blame, but necessarily the first one out, first one in, first one out type of situation. Like, dude, you're it's just the way it works. Speaking of competing, though, Anuj, I would just like to announce that you and I are throwing our hat back into the ring. We are playing Apex Legends again.
We're going to get our ass whooped. I already know what's going to happen.
So that being said, we are playing in an event. I don't want to say tournament because it's going to get me mentally not in the right spot. We're playing.
You stepped up in tournaments, though, for whatever reason.
That is true.
Maybe we call it a tournament for you, a pug for me.
I ball out. When the pressure is on, when the lights are on, I ball out in tournaments. I do perform really well. You're right. Either way, in a couple of weeks or whenever it is, in Anuja's company's tournament, we are playing it. That being said, we both recently downloaded Apex Legend again for like the first time, probably in like a year and a half. So
at least.
We desperately need to warm up. I got on today and played one game, and like I didn't know my keybinds. My sensitivity felt like I was pulling bricks. So
I have to go reread all the abilities.
Yeah, I'm like, who? I didn't recognize like 3 or 4 of the new people. I'm like, whoa. All the guns are new. There's like a new ammo in the game. I don't know what's going on. So if you do play Apex and you want to play with us and more or less carry us for a little bit, we would gladly do so, because I need to warm up a little bit, or I will feel really bad for our third partner that's playing with us. So I do want to represent the team, the podcast, your work, Anuj. I want to represent it proudly. So if
we'll get our practice in. I think we'll be okay. But battle royales are just
it's not us. First of all, we're just not the battle royale type of guys. But nonetheless, we'll give it our best. We'll give it our best. But we need to practice. So if you play Apex Legends, and it is cross-platform, I believe, hit us up, and I will pretty much play. If you're on, I will play. In other news, speaking of 100 Thieves from a bit ago, Valkyrie and Courage now become part owners of 100 Thieves. So there's that.
That's crazy. I mean, the fact that 100 Thieves has got to be valued at a ton of money at this point, right? With all the money that they brought in, like they're probably worth a good change. So to get part ownership kind of shows you how much Courage and Valkyrie are both bringing in. You know, like buying into ownership is not like, oh, I'm going to give you $300,000 and I'm going to get like 1/3% or whatever that may come out to. Like, that's not how it works. You know, they're probably putting in a really good chunk of change, if I would not say like possibly even like a couple million to get, you know, the seat that they got, depending on how much ownership, but still, I'm assuming it's a large chunk of change. So, I mean, Courage bought a Lamborghini recently. You know,
a lot of hoodies.
These guys
sells a lot of hoodies. All their teams suck, but hey, they sell a lot of hoodies. TP joins Envy as a Warzone player, so Call of Duty legend coming over to Envy. That's exciting news.
Yeah.
A sad day for the internet, Anuj, as it's been announced or at least reminded, Yahoo Answers will permanently shut down May 4th.
You put that on there on the show notes. I don't even know what Yahoo Answers is.
What?
No idea.
I think that's how you know you're old.
What is Yahoo Answers?
I feel like Yahoo Answers was like, at least my generations. So it was almost like a message board where you go on, and if you put a question down, and then people would answer it. So like any question, like if you Googled back in the day any question, it was like guaranteed the first link was a Yahoo Answers, because someone else has asked that question before. It was almost like Google
I haven't
before
been
Google.
to Yahoo's site in...
I mean, no one has. That's why this is going out. This is why their esports division died. I'm pretty sure if it weren't for like Yahoo Business, Yahoo would be dead.
Like, I just went to their website. They probably think I'm getting hacked right now because I haven't been to the site in over 10 years.
I went on Yahoo right now. I was used to be in a fantasy group that for fantasy football that did Yahoo, and I legit stopped doing that league and really stopped talking to that group of friends because I'm no longer in that league because they were on Yahoo. And I was like,
yeah, I mean, I probably did a fantasy league in Yahoo a couple years back, but that's like, you know, my link is straight to the fantasy site. And
that's fascinating that you don't even know what Yahoo Answers is. That's
I mean, now that you mention it, okay, yeah, I do remember seeing links if I Googled something that took me to a Yahoo's Answer site.
You never heard of Ken M? Ken M?
No.
He was like one of the original, I would call, internet memesters, where he would go on Yahoo Answers. His screen name was Ken, K-E-N, then the letter M, and he would answer all these people's questions, but like completely wrong, but in a very serious tone. So, man, that was a classic. Yahoo Answers.
Like, I'm looking at like Yahoo, like I typed in something just to pull up a Yahoo Answers thing. Yeah, I don't like really recall like using this at any point.
Blows my mind. We killed so many hours.
When you put it on there, I was also kind of wondering, like, what's the esports relation? Like in my mind, I was so lost in what it was. I was like, wait, is there an esports aspect to this? I'm just
it was a shout out to just letting you know the internet's getting old. It's just reminding us that have fun with
And
what
some
you
of
have.
us are already really old.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me.
It's just enjoy what you have because it might not always be here. And last but not least, speaking of might not always be here, E3 will take place this year, June 12th through the 15th, as a free digital event, which for like 99% of the people who watch it, it's always been a free digital event. But
Yeah.
like I read that.
Was not free.
Yeah. And Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, and Koch Media
Koch Media.
will be participating. So obviously notable absentee. Sony won't be there. So
Sony will be there. I think the most of the hype is driven around Take-Two Media being there. Everyone's really curious if GTA 6 is going to be announced, and so
yeah.
fingers crossed that that's a thing, because I think we've surpassed 5, 7. I don't even know how many years it's been. We got GTA 5, and so
You think?
I know the RP folks are probably not looking forward to it, maybe because their communities are massive. But
I don't know. Those RP people though are crazy. They'll stay on 5 if that's where the engine is at. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
If it
that's
doesn't,
true.
if it's a while before it moves over to 6, I think they'll stay. The big thing there is Nintendo. Hasn't Nintendo not been at E3 for the last handful of times?
But what is Nintendo going to announce that would get you excited right now?
I mean, nothing. But for Nintendo, like my friends that are Nintendo fanboys, like Metroid
I'm
Prime.
glad they're involved at the very least,
Yeah.
right? Like they show some new stuff, like Metroids. You're right, like things like Metroid, things like that. Like
Yeah.
that would be cool. But Sony not being there, kind
They
of a
do
big
their
deal.
own
But
thing.
there's enough big names there to where it should still be fun.
Yeah, I feel like E3's. I feel like I've moved on. I feel like as I get more and more into PC games, it's just like it's cool to watch, but I also know that I'm not going to play. Like back in the day, I remember it's like I wrote down a list of games that I was going to play, and I played them all. I played every single game that was shown at E3. Now it's like I might play one or two.
You're gonna pick the one that you think you can dive into without not needing 10 hours to play.
Right. Yeah. So, but there's that. We'll see. That's coming up here in a couple of months, anyways, for E3 Online Edition. But that will do it for this episode of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast, episode 320. Thank you so much for listening or jumping around. Love you all the same. Anuj, Launder says your mic is not working properly. I think he means because you're sounding hot. But
Oh.
it sounds okay, but I know what he's saying.
Why didn't you tell me this at the beginning of the show?
Well, because it sounded okay enough.
Well,
Okay enough. It sounded good.
I know what it is. I just have to change the damn USB port. I put it into a USB extender like I was telling you. And anytime I do that, I just ran out of space.
That's what it is. But we'll fix that for next time, Anuj. You'll sound beautiful. Maybe even in the post-show chat. But we will be back. What is today? What's today, Anuj? Wednesday?
The 7th, Wednesday.
So
So
we will
we'll
be
be
back
back on the
Sunday.
11th.
Talking Call of Duty, some Valorant, CounterStrike, ESL playoffs are going to wrap up. So we'll definitely recap those and who wins in the finals as well. But
We
that
might
will
have
be
a
all.
Championship Sunday, Tim. Been a while.
Championship Sunday, everyone's favorite. Anyways, I'm Tim for Anuj. We'll see ya.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. I mean, I think Launders is talking about because your mic is, it sounds sometimes it sounds like hot, but
Yeah, but that's annoying. I don't know why it does that. Like, I thought if I bought a USB 3.0 extender, it wouldn't cause that issue, but it does it with my camera and it does it with my mic. I'm just out of fucking room. I mean, I guess I could try and put my keyboard in the extender and see if that matters, and then maybe put the mic in the keyboard slot. I'll mess with it after.
yeah. You're probably fine with that because the keyboard's not like crazy intense on that.
What do you got planned for the rest of the night?
I don't know. I'm gonna go see what Morgan's doing. I heard Clyde crying during the show, so I'm sure she's dealing with that. And
Why don't you
then
just pretend like we're still doing the show and let's get on some Apex right now?
yeah, I'm down. Let me just upload the show and everything here. But no, I'm
This Sunday, actually, fuck, we can't do it Sunday. Maybe like Saturday night, we do like a CS night.
down.
I want to get like a couple games in. It's been too long.
I'm down. I'm always down. I want to play CS.
I think if you don't have Face It still installed,
I do. I probably have
let's
to update it, you know. But
let's go through Face It. I don't want to try and I have to get a rank back and all that shit.
no, it's not worth it.
I don't want to do all that.
Not worth it. I'd rather just get stomped and yelled at on Face It by someone than deal with getting a rank back. At least on Face It, there's a better chance we're getting stomped by actually good people and not hackers.
Let me see where this is plugged in. Maybe you can just test this real quick. God, now it's like hard to like find where everything is because I did this. Fuck me. I will have to mess with it. I'm gonna have to. The way I did it is I ran all my cables through a hole into that little like cubby where it's like everything is held. So I have to pull them out to figure out which one is the mic cable now, and I
Isn't it
put
the
like
worst?
sleeves on them. So I
Yeah.
bought.
No, cable management is listen, cable management's one of those things where it's like a beautiful thing when it's there, but like once you get it done,
Well, changing anything's now a bitch. Like I bought these cable sleeves, and so I can just wrap like 3 or 4 cables in here, and then it like sleeves them together in one like thing.
yeah. Yeah, I have like
And-
very similar things. It just
But now changing shit, I didn't even think about that. I
No.
should have tested everything before I.
that's like when I went over to your house that one night to play Valorant, it's like I just don't care enough to constantly redo it every time. So this Sunday is ESL Pro League.
It's gonna be ESL Pro League, COD Major, and Valorant.
Okay. It's a little championship Sunday action.
Yeah, it's actually been a while.
Yeah, we haven't had a championship Sunday. And that will be early too. ESL, they'll be in the morning, so that'll be nice. They'll be over.
Yeah, it actually works out pretty well because you'll have ESL in the morning. You have the stupid ass times for Valorant, which is like mid afternoon, and then Call of Duty will probably pick up towards the end of that.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to be able to sit there for 14 hours and watch,
No,
but
I can at least have them on in the background while
yeah.
making sure Shepard's not trying to pull off the TV.
Hudson's a little pissed that I moved the computer because now he can't try and press the power button anymore. He sees it up on the desk and he knows it's there, but he can't touch it.
I have to change mine. Every time I come in here, it's like I try to get my computer and it's off. And I'm like, why is my computer turned off? I'm like, oh, because my son came into my office and decided to hit the shiny button. Oh, you know what we forgot to even mention was the Tfue NFT stuff. I don't understand NFTs.
It's just a
I mean,
digital art, digital
I get
works of art that you
Right.
can sell as a one-time.
I
like,
just don't see how that's like money
I don't-
wise.
Well, you think of it as buying like a what I don't get is how they're going to keep it
Valuable. Like when it first starts up, like the hype is there. I get it. People will buy into it, right? But like many, many moons from now, like how does that price stay that way? Like if you're like, because I've seen it where it's like for comic books, you know, it's like, hey, buy a piece of the very first Spider-Man for this much money, and you can say you own a piece of it. But it's like, but I don't. Like I own a digital piece.
Yeah, I don't understand it well enough to like probably try and explain it to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I
Like I
like
know what an NFT is. I need someone who is like business or like smart enough to look ahead, you know?
tell me where to put my money that's going to make me money.
Like I was also the guy when Bitcoin first started.
Like NFT for porn will probably be big because they'll sell exclusive content there. I could see that. Like,
Anything in porn is big though.
yeah,
Like name one thing in porn that was a failure. You can't.
like I know they talk about it in games of like owning an area in a game, but I just don't get how that is going to hold like some crazy value. But I don't know. I mean,
I don't get it.
like they say, like cards can be at like digital forms of like a Pokemon card or NBA card, whatever it may be. You could sell it in a digital form, and I was like, how are you gonna like stop people from creating that same work of art when it's I don't know. I mean, I don't understand it that well.
I'm with you. And it's like
I
you
do need to get better with investing, though. We just sit on all of our money.
I mean,
I have a lot. Like I have like a good percentage of it invested, but I don't make enough money off of my money is the problem.
I don't make enough money. That's the problem. If I just made more money.
That's it.
Just in general, I just need to make more money. Um Man, I'd be down to play some Apex, like stream Apex, but I think that would melt my computer if I tried streaming Apex. I was looking at a new game coming out, and the minimum,
Which
I'm okay on minimum requirements, but the recommended requirements
not there.
not there. Like my 980 is finally too old.
I got into the Crowfall beta. I don't think I'm gonna play that shit though.
Crowfall. What the hell is that?
It's like it's an MMO. But I signed up for this. I shit you not. What was the first
Looks like an MMO
dream
that would be
hack?
dead in
The
a month.
first dream hack that Ronnie came to us with?
That was the second dream hack then.
That was when I signed up for this beta.
Damn. That was
Yeah,
like 4 years ago.
a long time ago. It wasn't in beta then. It was like alpha or whatever, you know.
Diablo Alpha is starting tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't gotten the information that I got accepted to it.
I haven't either. I assume it's going to be like a open it up and see if you can download it type of thing. It's just like a stress test though, so I don't, or it's like a.
I kind of don't care for that stuff anymore. I'm like, I'll just play it when I don't want to lose my progression. I guess I should say.
I mean, I want to hop onto it just to see it, you know, but I'm not gonna grind the beta. Like you had people
Like Diablo is such a grindy game. Like
yeah.
I feel like if I'm gonna do anything, it's just gonna be all for. Ronnie and Kamar both went back to Diablo for the new season. I'm like,
No,
why? It's like season 24. It's the same shit 24 times.
just so they can stop in a week and then do it all again in the next
I
season?
did have fun last time we went back for a little bit, but that was the first time I'd been back.
But
in,
again,
like,
that's like going back for one season, not every other. You know, it's
yeah,
like I do
yeah.
the same thing with Diablo, but it's just not there. All right. So I'm gonna get to editing the show. I'm gonna kill the stream. Anyone in chat, thank you so much for watching. If you want to follow, we do shows every Sunday and Wednesday night. Talk esports and all that implies. Anuj.
Wonders, if you're still there, thank you for the mic heads up. My co-host wouldn't let me know, so appreciate that.
I think I know what he's talking about. It's like when the mic.
You're an audio freak, so for you not to say something,
But I also know it's just to fix it is probably more work than what we had time for.
yeah, I'll
Like it sounds good now, but it's just like when you talk louder.
when I get excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll change the port.
It's
I'll
just
dig this cable
the
out.
mic was running hot at times, but it wasn't like it was, you know. I also know like you just have a USB mic, so your options are moving the mic further or closer, or trying a different USB port.
Yeah,
Like you don't have.
but the different USB port
No,
option
typically
generally works.
Typically that does work. Typically, yes, it does. It does the trick. So, anyways, anyone in chat, love you. We'll talk to you Sunday night. We'll recap the championship Sunday action, ESL playoffs, Call of Duty, major finals, and VCT stage 2, 1, whatever the hell they call it.
Stage 2 playoff. I mean, stage 2 playoff.
Stage 1 of stage 2, whatever Riot has labeled it as. So, anyways, talk to you then. Peace out.